Welcome back, everybody. We are the MTGPL. My name is Beyond Sadistic. With me is Oliver V. We are back for round number 2 in our Legacy Live series. Me and Oliver chilling in Wisconsin, sitting in the middle of a tornado, playing Legacy for y'all. Oliver, thank you so much for playing round number 1. I hope you guys enjoyed our round number 1 there. Oliver, let's talk about our decks for round number 2. So you brought an interesting deck, and a deck that's kind of, I would say, morphed a little bit from where it first started, from where Modern Horizons 2 dropped. You brought mono blue Affinity.
Well, not so much mono blue, right? We do have that white splash.
Yes.
So this deck I am quite adamant on is a new dredge variant at a certain point for Legacy, right? Where it's this thing that is so easily hated out of the metagame. It's not even funny. You just put a few meltdowns in your sideboard. You come with that null rod. You come with that collector oof, and the thing isn't going to perform. However, it is this fantastic deck in that you can absolutely juke metagames as they come up, right? Like you know that your local is not prepared for it whatsoever, and you run it back twice, right? And so I'm still kind of big on this deck. Like it is so fragile. The mana base is terrible, as anybody who's played this deck can tell you. Like, you think that those artifact lands are great, and then you play with them, and you're like, oh, it's pretty hard. There's still really no good mono blue version of this deck yet, though. This Azorius version is still kind of the de facto best affinity list, at least in terms of performances. Um, so we're still running with it. Again, the mana base is super fragile, and sometimes you just lose by not being able to cast half your spells. Mox Opal turns out to be the absolutely most important card in this deck, but it's honestly really fun to play with. That moment you put your entire hand into play on turn 2 feels just chef kiss.
Yeah, I will agree with you. Yeah, just the fact, especially right now, there's a lot of artifact hate that's being played. And artifacts are one of those things that, I mean, you can bring graveyard hate, you can bring creature hate. Artifact hate is in a lot of colors, and it's very, very easy, and it's usually very potent. That's the downside, is that the artifact hate that everybody's got is just like blow you out artifact hate. It's not even just like Thalia type taxing hate or, like Graph Digger's hate. I mean, it's just like all of your artifacts are dead or they don't work.
Yeah. So the great thing is that Force of Vigor isn't as backbreaking, right? With the real heartbreaker is when you go up against decks that are running engineered explosives, right? That's kind of why EE came back for a short period in Modern Horizons 2, and it's still kind of lingering there. Also really good against Delver with all the one drops, so that's why it's kind of still staying. But like it's like the meltdowns, the null rods, the collector oofs. Excuse me. It's those cards that are really the haymakers that they resolve and you're just like, oh, I'm done. The game's completely over. At
Yeah.
least with Force of Vigor going, it's one of those things where it's like, it's a 2 for 2, and you can still try to go through with it. But
Right.
yeah, it's a fun list to play. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not finishing buying Mox Opals for it. This is a full proxy list for all of y'all, just to show how proxy friendly we are here. But Corey, should we jump on over to your list?
Yeah. So I actually put something or switched up my deck list a little bit for today. What I actually did is my blue red Delver list that I honestly have very, very few reps with. I'm not really the biggest Delver player. I really like the Blitz style decks. However, I did switch up my blue red Delver list to the 60 or almost the 60 from this last week's challenge winner Nathan Stowers deck. So it is a 2 Mishra's Bauble deck. I think he's on 4 Murktides. I'm on 3 and 3 Delvers instead of 2. I think that's the only difference between the 60. I think our fetches, we might have a couple fetches that are different. Our sideboards are different just because meta-wise, we play a little bit different. But I'm actually really excited. This deck is sick. It's like the hyper aggressive Ragavan and Dragon's Rage Channeler, just being able to like blitz you in the face and just keep punishing you over and over. I think this deck's got a lot of power. Unholy Heat is an amazing removal spell that we can turn on rather simply. So I'm actually really excited to play this deck. I don't know. What do you think about this one?
So, first of all, I'm the one who's supposed to be playing artifacts here today, not you, Corey. Get those Mishra Baubles out of your deck. But no, actually, I really have been loving this Mishra's Bauble version of the list, really making it a little bit easier in terms of turning on Death Ray. I'm sorry, Dragon's Rage Channeler on turn 2.
Hmm.
Ironically enough, with the non-Mishra's Baubles version of this deck that we see in Legacy sometimes, it's kind of worse at turning on Dragon's Rage Channeler on turn 2 than the modern Is It decks
Yes.
that are built to do the exact same thing, and it's all around Mishra's Bauble. I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. As a person who predominantly plays blue decks, like that is my thing. I play every deck I play has Force of Wills, Ponders, Brainstorms. Ragavan is so soul crushing when it is able to just swing and get through like 2 turns. It almost feels like the game's completely over. I do feel a little bit more comfortable in this matchup with it, where you're not hitting my cantrips that you are then converting into your own card advantage.
Right.
For the most part, you should not be casting my spells because they won't be that good for you.
Right.
But I'm excited to see what happens with this. I'm not gonna lie, I was really hoping that there was going to be no meltdowns in this list, right? Meltdown was kind of the Is It Delver tech to be able to beat Is It Affinity when it first came back. But unfortunately, you replaced the Meltdown with Null Rod, so we still have the threat of that. So we're just going to hope to dodge that Null Rod in game 2 and 3, and I think that's going to be the game plan.
Yeah, definitely. And that solely goes down to what my local meta wise is. We don't have a ton of artifacts, so the Null Rod is there just as like the surgical type piece or the scalpel type piece rather than the meltdowns. And I honestly just did not have the time to completely switch the deck over. So there should be meltdowns. I will agree. But that honestly would have just been a straight blowout if I were able to draw those. You wouldn't have had an answer, so it just would have been bad. So the way that this matchup is going to go, I'm actually much better with that. So we will go. Do you want to do evens or odds?
Oh yeah, let's do evens odds. You want to roll this time?
Sure.
I'm saying odds.
It's a 6.
Are we sure about that? I'm joking. Yeah, you got it.
Uh,
You want 1, 2, or 3 on top?
I will go with 3 on top. How about 1,
Sounds
2, or
good.
3 for you?
Let's put the middle on top. What are those sleeves?
These are dragon. These are the Dragon Shield brushed arts.
Those are gorgeous. Those are so slick.
Right?
Look at me with my lame mono black sleeves.
I told you all of them, and so all of my decks have to be sleeved, like all of my Pioneer decks, which I have 2, are sleeved with a different brand of sleeve than my Legacy decks. So, like I said, it's terrible. So one of the powerhouse things in this deck is expressive iteration. It really allows us to do a lot. However, our hand lands and brainstorms. So we've got a Flooded Strand, a Wasteland. We really don't have any colored sources outside of what that Flooded Strand is going to get us. And then we've got an expressive iteration, 2 Brainstorms, a Daze, and a Lightning Bolt. We have 0 creatures. Although I'm still kind of tempted to keep this, although I really hate brainstorming with no fetch. And I don't have a way.
That's put back.
Yeah, I was going to say, I have no way to cast this expressive iteration. So I'm actually going to ship it back. So
Tight. This hand is kind of showing how weak this mana base is, but we running with this, absolutely. So for lands, I have the Ancient Tomb and an Ancient Den, right? We are on Ancient Tribal with this mana base. We got Nettle Cyst, Thoughtcast, and Thought Monitor, uncastable with those. Arcbound Ravager, but we do have the most important card in this deck. We have the Mox Opal.
yeah.
We run with this.
Yeah.
The real question is whether or not I'm going to be going with the Jam Arcbound Ravager on turn 1 by putting out the Ancient Tomb, just because that is the way that we can really potentially get punished by a Wasteland. So we're going to figure this out after we get our draw. Yeah, let's see what happens.
Yeah, we'll do 1, 2, or 3 on top.
Middle again.
Middle on top? Here, we'll put that one there. Come here, dice. You can stay over here.
All right, show me that good. Let's see that Dragon Rage Channeler and Delver opening hand.
All right. Well, we got an absolute banger of a hand. So we start off with the Cantrip Cartel, Ponder Brainstorm. We also have a backup Force of Will. We do have 2 lands. We have a Misty and we have a Valk. And then we have a Dragon Rage Channeler and a Ragavan. So
Ooh, okay. All right. This seems sick. What do you pitch with that?
so here's that's the downside. What do you pitch with this? I actually almost
Ooh,
feel like
do you pitch a cantrip?
I think I pitch Brainstorm, to be totally honest. I think I'm more comfortable keeping on the Ponder than I am. I don't know. I do have a fetch, so us being able to keep the Brainstorm also makes sense too. I actually think I am going to pitch the. I think I pitched the Brainstorm. Here's why: Dragon Rage Channeler allows me to surveil, and this, if I keep the Ponder, it gives me a sorcery for my graveyard that I
Yeah.
actually already have. So we're going to put the Brainstorm back.
Height. Let's do
So
this.
good luck to you, sir. I think instead of draw, I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to play. I'm gonna play out. Oops, my battlefield's up here. I'm gonna play up a volcanic island and do we want that? I'm actually gonna play out a Regavan and then I'll pass turn.
Seems really good. All right, so hear me out. It doesn't matter what you exile, just making treasures is insanely good in that deck. I'm
Correct.
gonna go ahead and draw. We found another ancient tomb, so we're absolutely jamming this first one. Ancient tomb going down on life total. I will go ahead and play out this Arcbound Ravager. Um, and we'll also just jam the Mox Opal right away if the Arcbound Ravager resolves.
So with the Arcbound Ravager on the stack, I'm actually really tempted to force that because it's a creature. And if I don't, my Regavan is not really going to be able to get through. However, that puts that Ponder into the graveyard. So, or I mean, sorry, into exile. So, and I feel like if we do force this, it actually lowers the artifact count. So I don't know if my opponent has a Mox Opal in hand or not. I actually think I am. I actually think I am going to force the Arcbound Ravager, pitching the Ponder.
Sounds good. It is gone. I then jam this Mox Opal.
Okay. So now we're feeling really good because our opponent did have the Mox Opal in hand, which that tells us right then and there that that we stopped our opponent from being able to have Metalcraft the next turn, as long as they have nothing else in hand. So we'll go to ours turn. We'll untap Volcanic Island. We'll draw. And I think we will go to combat and we'll attack with our Regavan.
Let's see what you hit. You got a Thoughtcast.
So I got a Thought Cast. So that's kind of interesting. Oliver's going to go
No,
to
that
16.
you ain't casting that. That's going straight to exile.
We did make a treasure though, which is good. So we do have a treasure on our side. We're going to use our red mana and we're going to cast our Dragon Rage Channeler.
Nice.
And then we're going to play out our Misty Rainforest for churn.
Nice.
And then we're going to pass turn.
Sweet. So the really great thing that I kind of have set up here is because we have ooh, I like that. I'm gonna go ahead and play out this Ancient Den, take 2 life, and we'll play out Nettle Cyst.
Okay.
Nettle Cyst is of course gonna be able to turn on Metalcraft. Not that it's wholly relevant for this exact moment, but it will be nice for later on. I know I have a germ token somewhere. And for right now, that's the germ token. We'll find it in a moment. And I do have a Thought Cast in hand, of course, is not castable at the moment, and I will go ahead and pass.
All right. So I'm going to untap. Right now, your Nettlesys is what, a 3/3?
It is a 3/3.
All right. So we'll draw for turn. Didn't exactly draw what we wanted to here. Dragon Rage Channeler, and we really need non-creature spells, and our graveyard is pretty thin at the moment. We cannot get in with Regavan now. We cannot get in with our Dragon Rage Channeler. However, we are going to tap. We're going to cast another Dragon Rage Channeler.
Ooh, okay.
So now this allows us to fill our graveyard a little bit faster. However, I think we pretty much just have to pass back. We really don't have anything else we can do at the moment.
So the issue here for me now is I need to be really careful with my Ancient Tombs, especially with the second one in hand.
Right.
just because we run the risk of just being absolutely blasted. Um, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and play out this Tundra. I do need to think for just a moment on how exactly we're going to do this. I think we do it like this. I'll go ahead and play 2 for Aethersworn Canonist.
Sure.
Great thing about this is it is going to make it a lot harder for Corey to utilize his cantrips.
Yep.
The real question now, to be totally honest, is whether we are going to do it. Let's get greedy. I'm going to go blue and 2 with 1, 2, 3, 4 artifacts in play, and I'm going to play out Thought Monitor.
Okay.
We'll draw 2 cards. Oh wow, oh wow! This look at me, Ma. We're doing things. A Nettlecyst is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to swing 4, 5.
Yeah. And I either block with one of my Dragon's Rage channelers, but that's, let's see, Nettlecyst gives lifelink, right? No.
No, 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 no. It is just
Oh, just for
the plus.
artifacts.
Yeah, it's just the
I'm
+1/+1 for
gonna
artifacts and
I'm
enchantments.
actually gonna take the 5 here and go to
Seems
14.
good.
Yeah.
And yeah, it is your go.
All right. So we're a little bit behind here just because we haven't really drawn anything. We are gonna untap and draw for turn. Really did not draw again anything that's of use to us. Let's see here. We did draw a card last. We did draw something last turn that actually will help us here. So we're going to tap this for a red, and we're going to cast Unholy Heat on the Aethersworn Canonist. So that's going
Seems
to
good.
trigger our Dragon Rage channelers. So we get to surveil for both of these. So on our first surveil, we get a Wasteland, which we can easily put a land into play. However, we are going to ditch this. Actually, yeah, we are going to. Yeah, I don't want to be drawing this, so I am going to ditch this in the graveyard. And off the second one, we get a Flooded Strand. So really another card that really doesn't help us here. So we're going to ditch this also.
The great thing about this, right, is you're just fueling up Murktide fuel. Like
Correct.
your Murktides won't be huge, being delving away those, but at least gets them in play. And honestly, a 3/3 body is going to be more than enough half the time.
Right. We have no Delirium, so our Dragon's Rage channelers do not have flying. The only other card in our hand is not something that we can do anything with. So we're going to pass back. You are muted, Oliver.
Oops. My wife came home, so I very quickly muted that. My apologies, y'all. It is fantastic that we haven't been really suffering any damage throughout this. Being able to block with this Nettle Cyst has been huge. I will go ahead and draw for turn. Great hit in that it is a Seed of the Synod. At this point, when we have access to all of our colors, the artifact lands are absolute gas. How do we want to do this? So I have Aethersworn Canonist, Thoughtcast, and Stonecoil Serpent. Didn't play the Ancient Tomb again, just because it really is not necessary at this point. I do want to get this second Aethersworn Canonist into play. And then I think I just jam the Thoughtcast immediately. Yeah, we'll go ahead and do this. Then I'll be able to get a Stonecoil Serpent X's 3 into play to be able to serve as another potential blocker.
Right.
I'm going to play Aethersworn Canonist. Does it resolve?
It does absolutely resolve, yes, sir.
Fantastic. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and jam this Thoughtcast.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we're in a really bad shape. So we do have permission in our hand. We just have no way to cast it right now. So with that Aethersworn Canonist, again, our Unholy Heat really didn't do what we wanted it to do. It top decking 2 lands for us, being able to put them in the graveyard. What we really wanted was like an Expressive Iteration or another Ponder for us to be able to continue to go. So really, at this point, what we're regretting is forcing and pitching that Ponder. So
so the real question here is whether so we drew a Nettlecyst and a Mox Opal off that. I don't need to use that Mox Opal for the additional mana at this point. The question is whether or not I jam out the Stormcoil Serpent X on 3, or whether or not I go ahead and do the Nettle Cyst. The reasoning behind this is essentially if Delirium gets active and there's double bolt, I'm going to lose. However, I do have the Thought Monitor to block, so... Oh, and I also have Aether Storm Cannon, so we don't have to worry about the double bolt.
Mhm.
Yeah, we'll just go ahead and take 2, play out a second Nettle Cyst, just to make it so we really have a lot of pressure. Go ahead and swing in with the first Nettle Cyst for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
So at this point, that halves our life. However, we really don't have this. This Ragavan is kind of never going to get through at this point. If we draw another one, I mean, it's pretty much just going to be not going to really do us a whole lot. We don't care about casting anything off the top. We're actually going to block with Ragavan. So
Sounds good. And we will pass it on over to you.
all right, so we're untap and we'll draw for churn.
And I am at 12 life of note.
Oh, you are. Sorry about that.
Yep. No, all good.
So we're really bad. We're in a really bad spot right here. So we drew another land. We're going to play another volcanic island. What we have in our hand is a Force of Will. We are pretty much way behind at this point. We're going to pass back. And there's not a whole lot we can do here. We are a creature instant. We are one sorcery or an artifact away from having Delirium. So
I'll go ahead and draw, and we find a Walking Ballista, which is absolutely massive here. We'll be able to eat those 2 Death Ray. Yeah, so this is just the clear line. We will Walking Ballista, X is 3.
Yep.
Go ahead and ping the 2 Death Rays, or the 2 Dragon Rage Channelers.
Yep.
Those
Those
are
are going to be
basically
down.
Death Rage Shamans, right? No,
Yeah.
they aren't. And go ahead and swing in for lethal.
Yeah.
With 2 8/8 Nettle Cyst, a Thought Monitor, and a Canonist.
Yeah. So with our hand, we've got really nothing that we can do there. So we're going to go out quietly.
Quietly into the night. All right. So, I mean, for me on that end, the real thing that really became clear was the Thoughtcast and Thought Monitor's ability to allow me to take over the long game as long as I haven't lost my life total too deeply. Really also showed how Ancient Tomb can be incredibly stressful in this matchup, right? Where I was very lucky I never had to play the second one from hand, just because I very quickly would have gotten myself in bolt range, especially if you had actually been able to swing with 3/3s at a certain point.
Right.
And yeah, also really showing the card disadvantage that comes with Force of Will as well, right? Where so often we talk about Force of Will being a free card, but really, as we saw in that last game, you'd be priced into making that decision of whether or not it's correct to Force of Will there, and basically hoping to be able to find another cantrip and be able to go deep.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, me being able to trade that single Arcbound Ravager for 2 of your cards after you were on a mold of 6 already was just huge.
Yeah, I agree. So in terms of sideboard, let's take a look at mine. So I'm on 1 Grafdigger's Cage, a Blazing Volley, and a Gut Shot, 1 Abrade, 2 Pyroblast, 2 Surgicals, 2 Court of Cunning, 2 Submerges, a 1 Brazen Borrow and Petty Theft, a Null Rod, and a Force of Negation. So I'm actually going to look for my sideboard and find it.
Wherever it could be. Wherever it could be.
So we're definitely going to bring in the Null Rod, because that's just a slam dunk. I don't think Pyroblast might be somewhat decent. You are on quite a few blue spells. It allows me to get rid of your Thought Monitors as a means. And I think a Braid. However, I don't know, a Court of Cunning really doesn't seem like what I want to be doing. Blazing Volley could be fairly okay, but you really don't. Your creatures aren't 1/1s for very long, so I don't think that's really going to do much. Petty Theft could be pretty decent, and just being able to be able to put like your Nettle Cyst or your Germ back in your hand, for instance. However, outside of that, I really don't think I have a whole lot else that I really want to be bringing in. Force of Negation could be decent. I really don't think there's a whole lot else that I'd be bringing in. How about you, Oliver?
I mean, for you, I think that the other great thing about Pyroblast is being able to stop my Thoughtcast, and then also being able to hit Psy, which is really a huge card advantage card in this matchup.
True.
I mean, no rods and abrades are super clear. I don't think you want anything else besides potentially the Pyroblast. That's really up to you. For me, on my sideboard plan, I have really the two prismatic endings.
Hmm.
There is the thought of bringing in Chalice of the Voids. However, the Chalice of the Voids in this deck are really specifically anti-combo cards more than anything else, along with the Flusterstorms. Um, the other issue that I have is that I want all my cards against you like horribly badly. Even Ornithopter, which is often one of the flex cards for me to be able to take out, and the Welding Jars, they're ones that I just want, right? Where Unholy Heat doesn't have an anti-regenerate text, right?
It does
Does it?
not.
Okay, I don't remember that entire card. It's just like that has so many words on it. What does it all say? So yeah, I want to be keeping my welding jars for sure. So the real question is what I want to take out. Ornithopter I like in that it's able to like be a saga trigger to go get a blocker. How for your flying threats. However, I think that is one of the cards that I need to have come out. I'm also going to be taking out an Emery because it's just a little slow. The great thing about Psy, which is also slow as well, is it at least can't be removed. Um, it's a 1/4, so you need Unholy Heat with Delirium to be able to remove it. It doesn't just die to a bolt. So I'm just bringing the two prismatic endings. This is just my versatile catch-all almost every single matchup out of fear of Collector Use and Null Rods. So that's why we're bringing it in.
So I'm going to trim on 2 Dazes, one of the Delvers, and a Force of Will here. The Pyroblast allows me to flex slot, be able to hit other things to where I would want to. Plus, I'm not two phoning myself with a Force of Will. And I am going to bring in the Abrade and the Null Rod. So
I actually take it back. I'm leaning in the Ornithopter. I'm taking out a single Esper Sentinel because Esper Sentinel is a pretty mediocre card the vast majority of the time. I
yeah.
arguably should be keeping in that Emery actually. And taking out 2 of these terrible 1-mana creatures, but we're just going to run with it. We'll see if I want to change it afterwards.
And I will be on the play as well.
Terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. So the hands that I really want to see with this deck specifically are I want to see Soul Land hands, or I want to see turn 2 Psy hands are kind of the way that it goes. Also, I mean, Urza Saga is the best combo that I can have with Ancient Tomb, of course.
Yeah.
I don't know. The real difficult thing is that I need to be it isn't just a matter of me going super, super fast. I also need to be able to stonewall you a little bit
Yeah. I'll
without
agree.
losing too much of my own life.
I need to be able to go fast enough, but I'd like to have some early removal just because your creatures are able to get out of hand very, very quickly. So I need that. I need those removals early on to be able to keep up with them.
This honestly is one of those matchups that I wish I had a 4th Tundra to be able to side in.
Oh,
Just because my mana is so bad and you have Wastelands, it's like, yeah, we need it.
right.
Do you want 1, 2, or 3 on top?
I'll
3?
put 3 on top. Yep.
And I'll do 3 as well for you.
Okay. So let's see what we have to play with. Somewhat of a decent hand. It doesn't give us any card selection. I mean, it does give us threats. So our hand is actually really good against Oliver, and just the fact that it's got 2 Wastelands and it's got a Scalding Tarn. However, we are very, very threat heavy. We have 2 Delvers, a Murktide, and a Dragon Rage Channeler. So we don't have any cantrips in our hand, but we do have creatures to be able to start to build pressure, and we do have Wastelands to take Oliver off of almost every single. Actually, I think it is every single card in your.
There's a single planes.
All right, so outside of Oliver's 1 planes that he's going to be able to cast his Esper Sentinel with, he's not going to have a whole lot of opportunity. So I'm going to keep this.
I think that's an absolute slam dunk. So,
Absolutely.
ironically enough, I have a hand that its only land is planes. We're gonna run with this. It honestly isn't great, but we have a prismatic ending. We have Retrofitter Foundry, Esper Sentinel, Welding Jar, and Thoughtcast, and Mox Opal. So basically, off of the Mox Opal, Esper Sentinel, and Welding Jar, we're gonna be just trying to move forward from this point. It'd be really great to hit second land off the top and be able to convert this Thoughtcast quickly, but we're running with it.
Sure. So on this, we're going to start off with the Scalding Tarn, and we're gonna fetch. We are going to go and get a volcanic island, and because we have no non-creature spells in our hand, we're actually going to play out our Delver first.
Yeah, seems right. All that we need is a blind flip, and all of a sudden, I'm gonna have a really hard time racing that.
Yep. So we will
Who'd have
cut.
guessed? Delver's a good card.
Still a good card, and we'll play out a Delver, and then we'll pass turn.
Sounds good. I'll go ahead and draw. Hits
Yep.
Aethersworn Canonist, which would be really great once we're able to get everything live. I'm gonna go ahead and go. Oh, here's the real question. I almost want to spend. So I immediately start spamming. We go Esper Sentinel, Opal, Welding Jar, Metalcraft is active. The question is now, do I just spend this Prismatic Ending right now on the threat? I'm going to let it try to flip first, I think.
I think that's
Because if it
probably.
flips, we also hit Cantrip.
I think that's a
So,
fair assessment.
yeah. So what we're going to do, oops, that's the wrong thing. I'm just going to go ahead and cast out this Retrofitter Foundry and pass to you.
So we're gonna
Look at this.
untap.
5 permanents in play on turn 1. This feels okay.
I know, right? We're going to trigger look for Delver. We are going to show a Ponder. So our Delver is going to flip here.
Seems good.
We will put this Ponder into our hand. We do now have the ability to start to go off. So we also have a second Delver as well in our hand that we know of, or that we've seen. Oliver has not shown us anything mana-wise for us to wasteland. So I think what we do here is we move to combat and we attack.
I'll go ahead and take it. We cannot stop that.
Cannot stop, and you always want to not give out too much information before combat. We could ponder right now and give us a little bit of card selection, but I actually think what we're going to do is we're going to play out a Dragon Rage Channeler first. Mm-hmm. This way, this gives us a little bit more value with our ponder. It also forces Oliver to be able to make a decision. He's got to actually, he knows I have a ponder in hand, so he knows I'm going to be able to start to do things with my Dragon Rage Channeler. I already have a land in hand, but I'm going to play out a Wasteland. So Oliver knows that whatever he does do, he's got to be very careful in expounding resources. So that way, because I can start to take him off of those. So, and then we'll pass turn with 4 cards in hand.
Sounds good. And the terrible thing is, even if this Wasteland doesn't hit, it's a source to be able to pay for the Esper Sentinel tax, which is pretty significant, actually. I'll go ahead and draw. So this is a little difficult. I am going to Thoughtcast here.
Okay.
Go ahead and just try to draw 2.
Yeah, we have no response to the Thoughtcast, so.
Okay. We'll draw that 2. This is kind of nice. I'll go ahead and play out Seed of the Synod. This, of course, is wastelandable, but I think we're actually okay with that. And now I have the choice of whether or not I hit threat with my Prismatic Ending, as I'm nowhere near the ability, a place where I'll be able to race. However, the other thing is I would be able to do it on the following turn and play another 2-drop after I jam this Aethersworn Canonist on this turn, which I kind of like with the Welding Jar backup. Of course, knowing what's in Corey's hand right now, which is unknown information for me, but we do know that it is just more threats. I'm going to go ahead and jam out this Aethersworn Canonist.
Right.
And we'll swing for 1 with the Esper Sentinel.
Yeah, and we're not going to be blocking that. We will just take the 1 and go to 18.
And I'll pass.
We have the opportunity here. We can Wasteland. Having another Wasteland in hand, that would take Oliver off of that mana next turn. However, it doesn't matter if we do it this turn or on his end step or not. We're just going to go ahead and untap and draw for turn. So we were able to draw another land source. So we drew a Scalding Tarn. So this is a little bit, it's a little bit of a precarious spot. So right now we can play out another Wasteland. We can Wasteland the Seed of the Synod. However, with the Mox Opal, he's got mana, so it's not like we're cutting him off of a color at all. We can play out the Ponder. We would have to tap another mana because of Esper Sentinel, but that does give us the ability to Dragon Rage Channeler to get us a little bit of Surveil. So I think that's probably what I'm going to do first here. Actually, I'm going to go to combat first. I'm gonna go to combat.
Sounds good.
I'm gonna attack with Delver first.
I can't do nothing about that. Going down to 14.
And then during our second main phase, we are going to pay the 2, and we are going to cast Ponder.
Sounds good. I do not draw off the Aether Sentinel.
So Dragon Rage Channeler trigger first, so we will surveil. There is an Unholy Heat, so that gives us an instant that we can put in our graveyard, but that's also removal for the Aether Sworn Canonist, and right now we have nothing else. However, we cannot cast that right now. So I actually think, that's actually a tough one. That does also fuel a Murktide region as well. I actually am going to dump that into the graveyard. So we now have 3 out of our 4 Delirium cards, and we will resolve our Ponder.
Go ahead.
So this gives us an Expressive Iteration, a Lightning Bolt, and a Dragon Rage Channeler.
Those are all good cards.
They are, because now that gives us the removal spell. Esper Sentinel, we already paid the tax. So that means he's going to be able to... he cannot draw off of the second one because it's the first.
Of note, though, you're not going to be able to cast that second Lightning Bolt until my turn.
Well, we do have a Scalding Tarn in hand.
Yeah.
Oh yes, you're 100% correct. That is 100% correct. So if we put him back, this gives us the opportunity for us to play out our Scalding Tarn, but that kind of screws us mana wise because we didn't play and fetch ahead of time before we pondered. So I think we really don't want to give up the Expressive Iteration or the Dragon's Rage Channeler. So I think right now I think we put the Lightning Bolt on top, the Expressive Iteration it would be next, and then the Dragon Rage Channeler. That's kind of unfortunate. So we will draw the Lightning Bolt off of the Ponder. And then I think we play out this. We play out the waste. Do we wasteland you now to take you off of a mana? Because I really don't want to be fetching and losing out on that either. I think I'm going to actually. I think we do play the Wasteland and we Wasteland the Synod.
Okay, I'll activate Welding Jar and regenerate the Sea of the Synod.
Oh shit, that's right. So that's a misplay on my part. However, it does get rid of the Welding Jar, so.
I'll be totally honest. I think it's fine. Also, I forgot that I could even do that until it happened.
Well, it also forces you to use the Welding Jar to where it turns my removal is actually just effective too.
Yeah.
So, and then we'll pass turn.
The real reason that we're doing this is so on this next turn, I can try to jam and remove the 2 things. Although Urza Saga feels pretty good. I guess we didn't need to do that. Urza Saga on 1 becomes the thing.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to... Yeah. I'm going to Prismatic Ending the Insectile Aberration.
Mm-hmm. So he's going to go to exile.
Yep. And then I'm going to Walking Ballista for 1.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we just do it now so you don't even get a surveil.
Yep.
And I'll then eat the Dragon's Rage.
Yep.
And swing for 3.
Sure. So no blocks on our part. We do have another Dragon's Rage Channeler, so it's a little unfortunate. So the next one that we will play will actually have Delirium. We are going to get our Expressive Iteration off the top now that we know about. So we will draw our Expressive Iteration. We do have another Delver in hand, and we have a Murktide region as well. So we're going to play out... But if we fetch an Expressive Iteration, then we're going to lose out on the
The Dragon Rage.
on the
Yeah,
Dragon Rage
that's
channeler.
the difficult part.
Yeah.
The
So
other thing is the expressive iteration is not great until this Aethersworn Cannon is off the table.
correct. So we could actually use, we do have a Lightning Bolt in hand, which gives us another card for Murktide as well, for us to be able to cast on our turn. We could cast a Delver. However, we know the Delver's not going to flip. So it allows us to build up for it. We could also Wasteland the Urza Saga. It stops Oliver from being able to utilize that. He cannot regenerate that right now either with no Welding Jar. Well, it's not an artifact anyway. But
Yeah, it's never really regeneratable.
yeah, so we'll play a Scalding Tarn for turn. And I think the more prudent thing right now is to Lightning Bolt the Aethersworn Canonist now.
Sounds good. Will you pay 1?
I'm going to pay the 1.
Okay, sounds good.
And then I'll pass turn.
Sounds good. I'm going to go ahead and draw. Urza Saga goes to 2. Play Ancient Tomb. Play out Nettle Cyst.
Doc says, "Did we agree by accident, or did we agree to coordinate outfits beforehand?" I think we're wearing different outfits, Doc.
We both got hats.
We both have hats.
That's
yeah,
that's a little atypical.
it's a Wisconsin thing, though.
It truly is. Hey, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, baby, number 33,
Right?
Bucks FTW. I'll swing for 1.
Yeah, no blocks.
And I'm going to go ahead and pass. The beautiful part about this is I can either go ahead and make a 1/1 or more than likely make a construct.
Yeah.
But we now have advantage here, which feels quite good.
So we can force Oliver's hand by using the Wasteland to do that. We'll go to untap and we'll draw, which we already know is a Dragon's Rage channeler. So Oliver still has the Esper Sentinel, and we're pretty far behind because we're basically, we can cast the expressive iteration, but we can't cast a creature. Actually, that's not true. We could actually get a land off of the expressive iteration. No, we can't because we already played a land for turn. So
yeah, land's already been played.
Yeah. So really, we could play a Murktide. That would get us, but we're gonna lose out on Delirium. So I think at this point, we play out. Let's see, if you make a construct, it's gonna be really big.
It will be big.
Yeah.
A big boy.
So we're kind of behind the 8 ball here, which very well could be because of our choice to Wasteland the seat and force the Welding Jar to go. But how big will this be? 2, 3? Be a 6/6.
3, yeah, 3 spells in the graveyard.
Yeah, so it'll be a 6/6. And your construct's gonna be a 1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 itself as well.
Yeah, so it'll be a 6/6. Not really what I want to be trading with, to be totally honest. I think we're just gonna play the Dragon's Rage channeler.
Sounds good.
We don't have to pay for the Esper Sentinel.
No, you do not, unfortunately.
I actually think we fetch as well.
Yeah, sounds good.
And we play out our
Going
Delver.
down to 13.
Yeah, we'll go get a Volcanic Island. We'll play out our Delver.
Okay, sounds good. I'm going to go ahead and activate Urza Saga.
Good idea.
We're going to make a construct. Got a good old windmill construct here.
So with Oliver doing that, I think we Wasteland the construct, to be totally honest, or Wasteland the Urza Saga.
Yeah, I mean, next turn, it's just going to make another construct, make the other one into a 7/7. Like, it's just correct.
Yeah, and then we'll play out our Delver after that.
I do go down to 12 because of the Ancient Tomb there.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
We feel good about that.
Yeah, it's a good trade. And then I'll pass turn.
Okay, so we have a 6/6 Nettlecyst and a 6/6 Construct. I can threaten making a Thopter, so one of them has to be blocked at least this next turn. I'm going to go ahead and draw. Yo, that's ridiculous. That's actually a little insane. I'm going to play Walking Ballista X is 2.
Yikes. and
I'm going.
we have no way
Yeah,
to stop that. So
I'm gonna go ahead and ping the Dragon's Rage Channeler. I'm gonna ping the Delver,
well,
and then I'm gonna swing.
Dragon's
Oh,
Rage
Dragon Rage
Channeler.
is a 3/3. Oh
Yeah,
no.
yeah, it actually
So we're just
is.
gonna ping the Delver. Oops.
Okay, so the Delver is gonna
I guess that
die.
was a mistake. That is a blatant misplay there, but we can still force a block. It just isn't lethal this turn.
Hmm.
I'm gonna swing in with a 7/7, a 7/7, tapping this wrong, and a 1/1. I can attack with this Esper Sentinel for free because one of these 7/7s has to be blocked here.
Yeah, yeah. There's really nothing else we can do. We do have to block one of the 7/7s with the Dragon Rage
Yeah.
Channeler.
Get through for 8,
Yeah.
get you down to 5. And then this feels pretty nutty.
So we'll go to untap, and we'll draw for
All right.
turn.
How can you get out of this?
Well, we drew a Ponder, which means we really can't. So no matter what we draw off of this, we cannot cast our Artifact Hate. We cannot cast. We are down a mana source. We can cast a Murktide. However, that's not going to get us out of this. We can Ponder to see what we have on top. That's really the only thing we can do.
Do you want to pay 1 is the question.
I will absolutely not.
Okay, we'll draw a card.
So we drew it. Ponder gives us a Ponder, a Dragon's Rage Channeler, and a Force of Will. So
Yeah, that's all she wrote.
yeah, that's GG's. So
Woof.
that is going to do it. I don't have a whole lot of reps. Well, I have no reps with a Delver deck with Regiman. So
The Dragon's Rage Channeler really changes the lines very interestingly.
mhm.
The interesting thing was how much the Esper Sentinel kind of taxed your mana base.
Right.
You're choosing I mean, you had this heavy creature hand, so it didn't matter a ton. And because of the wastelands, it didn't have live targets in the beginning, you were kind of able to play around it for free. But later on, there was still kind of, because you had denied my draws so much, it did kind of play out in this way where all of a sudden it was like, yeah, let's continue doing that and just hope that I'm not able to kind of chain things off the top. But I got very lucky in terms of I drew like Nettle Cyst into Urza Saga and then into that Walking Ballista,
Right.
um, which was some very high end variance for me on that end.
Yeah. And sideboard wise, going back, was it wrong to take the Dazes out for the Pyroblast? Maybe. I also I did not see any Dazes game 1 also. And we were just pretty much as soon as the artifact deck was able to starting to roll, there was really nothing we could do to stop them. So that was kind of the downside there. But yeah, I think overall showed the power and how fast the artifact deck can go without anything to really stop it. When you're casting bolts at 6/6s and 7/7s, you're really not getting anywhere. And I was never in a position where I don't think I could have turned that around either. So I always felt like I was pretty far behind. As soon as I would feel like I was ahead, and then as soon as the next turn would come, Oliver was able to double or triple spell, and I was just that much further behind. So
Very, very true. And again, I think that this game really showcased exactly the point that we made in the very beginning, which is that this deck is a really great meta choice at times, right? Where if the metagame isn't prepared for it, like for instance, if you don't run into any null rods like happened in that match, I can just put 5 permanents in play and somehow still have this amazing long game where I'm getting multiple 2-for-1s off of making giant constructs. And able to just start chaining Thoughtcasts and the body Thougcast, whatever that is. But
sure.
for those of you here with us who don't know, we are the MTG Paper Legacy Discord. If you want to get in on the things we do, get in on our weekly tournaments, get on our fight nights, our monthly leagues, you can go ahead and do !Discord in the chat. That's going to go ahead and get you a link to join us at our Discord. We are we're over 2,000 now, right? Yeah, we are.
We're actually
over 2,000.
We're almost 2,700 members.
Oh God, this is nutty. Look at me keeping track of things. Go ahead and join us. We're 27 strong. You like to play some Paper Legacy. Maybe things are getting rough COVID wise where you are at again, and you're starting to move away from doing your local store scene. You can go ahead and jump in. We have a really active LFG scene if you're just looking for a random Legacy match at any point of the day. Otherwise, you can join our events, and it's a fantastic time. We got some high quality people in our Discord, but I'm a little biased about that. But regardless, we're going to take a short little break, and we'll be back to show you round 3, where we have a banger of a matchup. I'm going to be really straight. I'm excited about this one.
Yeah, me too. We'll see you guys in a few minutes.
Take care.